The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Stage Door Show. Tonight, my guest is singer, songwriter, and actress SHANALEE. Thank you for being on the show, SHANALEE.
Thanks for having me. How's everybody doing out there? I'm happy to be here. I'm working on a lot, and I can't wait to dive in and let you guys know what I've been up to.
Well, we can't wait to hear it as well. And, I wanted to start out, though, from, being a writer. You've been a writer since an early age. And tell us when you became interested in the arts in general.
Oh, man, literally as far back as I can remember. Since I was young, my parents told me I was always the little toddler running around dancing, singing. When I was in kindergarten, I performed for the first time in front of the whole school. So I literally, since I can remember, I've been so interested into the arts. When it comes to writing, when I was young, I guess you can call me an introvert almost. Like, I act like an extrovert sometimes, but I'm such an introvert. And when I was younger, I didn't really confide, I guess, in other people. I always wrote things down. I had a journal. I would write all my secrets in, I guess, call it like a diary. And it kind of started like that. I probably was around maybe 8, 9. I would write things down all the time, and they started turning into poems. I started learning that I could rhyme and that I can write sentences and then I could rhyme, and it sounded really good. And once I realized I can write poems, I then started writing music, maybe like a couple years after that.
Well, talk about that, because, you just mentioned something that kind of hit a button with me, because, you're talking about being an introvert, and I'm an introvert too. And it's funny that people that are creative people, I think, for the most part, they're introverts. And I don't know why that is, but you'll see comedians, actors, singers are typically, when they're on stage, they're a different person than when they're not on stage. And I found that to be true with myself, and it's funny when you mention that, because I'm the exact same way.
Oh yeah, I'm totally like that. I am like, on stage, you would think I'm like so confident and like, not that I'm faking it, but I just literally come alive on stage. Whereas like, if you would see me being completely myself in like my home, I'm like, to myself, I even enjoy being alone, to be honest. But on stage, I am total opposite. I come off very, very outgoing and confident and just ready for anything. And that's pretty much the animal that I turned into. I love performing. I absolutely love it more than anything else that I do, to be honest.
Well, and about that, being on stage, besides being a singer-songwriter, you have an acting background. Tell us what kind of acting you've done, and has that kind of helped you with being on stage as a singer? Oh,
yes, it's definitely helped me. I started acting my last year of high school. My high school had an acting group, and they were doing a show, and I was already a part of the dance team, the choir, and everything else. But I never did acting, and I was like, you know what, let me try it. I tried it, I auditioned, I got the lead part. Not only did I get the lead part, I rocked it, and I loved it. And I loved it so much that it actually impacted my decision on what I was going to study in college. I decided to go with musical theater because I found a great love for acting in my senior year of high school, and I wanted to act and sing. That's all I wanted to do. So I went to college. I went to community college. I majored in musical theater, and I did 2 plays in college, one of the best times of my life. One of the plays was actually from that Tyler Perry movie. It became a movie later on, but I believe it started off as a book. It's called For Color Girls, and that was like, I knew then that I wanted to dive into acting when I did that play in college. It was amazing. And the emotions that I feel on stage when I'm acting and singing, it's undescribable.
And I have my both of my kids they're grown now, but they both grew up actors, and just by being in part of that process when I would take them to rehearsals and all that, I know the process of acting, as a director, kind of go through the scenes. I mean, you really have to kind of make yourself vulnerable in a lot of different scenes, and did that kind of help you either come out of your shell or give you that confidence as a person?
It does, and it's almost as if you have to master pretending that no one is watching. You have to kind of like just get in your own zone. And once you master that, you can, nothing that's going on in the outside can bother you while you're in character. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, and talk about your sound. I mean, for our listeners, we have several listeners that are indie artists, but we also have a lot that just love listening to indie music. And what is your sound? How would you describe your sound to our listeners?
I would describe my sound to be quite transparent with the listeners and honest. I'm still figuring out my sound. I have a background of I'm Jamaican descent. And I love dancehall music, and I'm incorporating that into my sound. But I also have a very R&B soul sound as well. And to be honest, I'm trying to find that right, perfect sound. Until then, I'm figuring it out. But that is where we're at right now with my music. If you listen to my last project, Phases, it was pretty much R&B, but my new project that's going to be coming out within a couple of months, early next year, we're pushing for a release date early next year, 2021. That album is more of pop, like you're going to get more of a pop from me, more of a little bit of a dancehall feel. So like I said, it's a different variety. I can't really put a stamp on it yet.
Well, I think the fact that you have different sounds, I think, is only going to help you as an artist. Just from being in the business a long time, I think that the artists that I've worked with that have those different sounds that could go from genre to genre and cross over are the most successful people. So even though people like yourself are trying to find a stamp on what your sound is, I think it's fine not to have a sound, to be honest with you. And the fact that you have those different sounds, I think, can only help you gain a larger fan base. If you think about it, you have a lot of different markets, not only the United States market, but the overseas market, like the UK. There's a lot of people that we've talked to that have traveled over there and are very successful in different genres of music overseas, and maybe not here. But again, just the different sounds, I think, is actually a positive thing. And your stamp might be just that. Your stamp might be that you have different sounds, and I think that's gonna make you successful to keep it that way, personally.
Thank you so much, Dave. I've been in this business for a little while, and I've always heard, find your niche, find that specific crowd that listens to your specific music. And it's funny because listening to that, what you just said, that perspective, it's so true. Because when you think of the icons and the legends in the music business, they've never stuck to one specific type of sound, and it does make them different and unique. I appreciate that. Thank you.
A perfect example is Glenn Jones, who, Glenn Jones was an R&B legend, or still is an R&B legend. I mean, a lot of different hits, but his overseas hits were dance music, and over here they were R&B hits. So there's so much success to be made out there, by kind of leaving the shore, so to speak. And I'm a big believer in releasing overseas. I really am, because there's such a huge market over there, and they appreciate the music so much over there. And it's they go deep into the cuts as well. We talk about that on almost every show. But again, I think when we talk about music, the Phases, your project, and I think 2018 was that release, Phases. But you have American Dream, which is getting a lot of hits and listens. So talk about that song, American Dream, because I really like that track. So talk about that track.
Thank you so much. So American Dream is, oh man, it's basically my story. It's a part of me. It's really me describing who I am and just what American Dream means to me. And not only that, I wanted to take this particular song. I actually wrote this song with a great, phenomenal woman by the name of Queen Muhammad. We really wanted to bring across the pain that, people like myself, and when I say people like myself, Black women or just Black people, that we are feeling this year from all the recent events, in 2020. And I wanted to shed light on that in the song American Dream.
My family always believed in me, no matter what we went through, no matter what the world goes through. We always had love, injustices, overall differences. One nation under God, let's find a better way to live. Police brutality on the news surrounding me. Brianna, Amada, Bree, so many names I wanna scream.
And we did. And I also wanted to tell my story, a little Black girl from, I'm an immigrant from the West Indies. I was born in Jamaica. I came here at the age of 4. I struggled just like, most immigrants. And I do have a story, and that's what American Dream pretty much tells. And I love that song too. When I first listened to it after I recorded it, I did cry. I was like, oh my God. I don't think any other track has ever made me do that. So that was a first, and it, like I said, it's my story.
Yeah, that was powerful. In fact, the story you just told is similar to my wife. Immigrated here at 4 years old as well, and she had a very difficult time, learning the language, number one, and being different from other people in her school, and having to really kind of fight her way through a lot of things, and so I think a lot of people have that same story. And not even just people that immigrated here, but people that have lived here their whole life, having to fight their way through, and it's still that way. I mean, it's amazing that in 2020 that we're reverting back to a day that I've never thought we'd get back to. But you know what? I think it made people open their eyes a little more to what's going on, and I think that people like yourself, the artists that are kind of shining a light on it by your music and your art, I think is only going to help those that have had their eyes shut for so many years and have basically maybe purposely shut their eyes, or not on purpose, because they maybe don't live the life that everybody that in your situation has lived, or my wife has lived. The fact that they're not living it, I think people need to open their eyes. And like I said, with your music and your visuals, I think it's only going to help that cause, so to speak. And it's just we got to continue to do work, and we got to continue to shine a light on racism and diversity and inclusion issues out there that we're continuing to face. And it's an uphill battle, and it still is, but we can't stop the fight, right?
Yeah, we can't stop the fight. We also can't forget that even though we are still fighting, we have made progress. Since our ancestors, we've made progress. It's not where we want it to be, but we just have to keep fighting. We got to keep fighting, and together, not apart. Together, we will get there.
I want to talk about, first of all, your influences. Who were your influences growing up in the music business? I mean, who did you listen to try to, I guess that kind of formed who you are musically.
So my dad, growing up at a young age, my dad, he loved music. And I think he's the reason why maybe at a really young age I got into it. But he played a lot of old school R&B. I mean, back then it wasn't old school. Now it is. the Boys to Men, Luther Vandross, Minnie Riperton, The Temptations. I grew up hearing those groups, those R&B groups. My dad was also big on Mariah Carey. Oh my God, I grew up hearing her, Whitney Houston. The list can go on. As I got older and I started listening to my own type of music, I really, really started to love. I started to have a great, great, great love for Ashanti. She inspired me also to start writing poems. She wrote a book. It was years ago, a long time ago. She wrote a book, and I think I was about 15. So this had to be maybe in like early 2000s. And my mom took me as a surprise to go see Ashanti. And I got her autograph. And I was so happy because I met her. It was one of the best days of my life. But when I took home the book and I read it, she spoke about how she started writing. And that inspired me to start writing even more. I had already started writing poems and stuff. I started writing so much more. And I just loved her music, and she's actually a big part of my inspiration. And also, how could I forget Destiny's Child? I really love Destiny's Child. I was a big Tyrese fan. As you can see, I was so into R&B growing up. But yeah, those people that I named pretty much, I would say geared me into the type of music that I started to listen to and started writing.
Yeah, I mean, those are great influences. And the story about Ashanti, I mean, that's I think people underestimate sometimes the power of meeting somebody or meeting one of your heroes, right? And looking up to somebody. I think that could really kind of help propel somebody's love of music or love of their career, or continue to do it just from one little moment in your life that was so huge that it continued to keep that passion and that fire going.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember just like reading the book, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to be, like you aspire to be like the people that you really like and look up to. So that was me as a little girl. Like I could do this. I want to be like this. And to this day, I love her. I mean, I was so upset they canceled the verses. Did you hear about that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, Ashanti versus Keisha Cole versus was supposed to happen on the 12th, but they canceled it. And I was so bummed about that. But it's rescheduled, so.
Yeah. That's, that happens this time. I mean, during COVID, I mean, so many things are getting canceled, and, and hopefully with the vaccines that just came out, that we can, get back sooner than later to performing and getting out there and being in front of people, and, not just recording at home or being on Zoom calls. I mean, this is something that is exciting. So hopefully by the end of summer, we can get back out and start, performing again.
Oh man, I can't wait. That's like the number one thing I miss. I actually had a show coming up right before COVID hit. It was supposed to happen the April of this year, actually. And we were really promoting it. We were getting ready for it. We started promoting real early, and then boom. It was going to be one of my biggest shows yet. And, for artists, just to give an insight on what we're going through during the COVID, man, like, we really have to buckle down, I guess, on creating, because that's pretty much all we can do right now. There's no real performing or going out and networking and getting your stuff out there. So it's really just, at least for me, speaking for myself, is just putting all my energy into just creating new things, so that when COVID is gone, I have all this material and things that I can start pushing and, get into work.
And talking about the work that you've done, I mean, I saw that you have some videos out there. Then you market yourself pretty well, and talk about the importance as a indie artist to market yourself.
Yeah, so as an independent artist, it's very, very important. I mean, as any artist, but even more as an independent artist, because when you're independent, you don't have the label backing you, right? You don't have that big team. You might have a couple of people, but you don't have that big team backing you. So you're doing everything yourself, and you want to get your name out there as much as you possibly can. So market, promote. It's very important. One of the number one ways that I market myself is I try to keep in contact with my fans as much as possible. On a daily, whether that be through social media, different platforms. Whenever you make a new song or a new video, what I try to do is I try to create some type of content that I can put out before that might bring either awareness to the project or start getting people to look out for it, because your fans want to know what's going on. They want to stay tuned. They want to keep up with you. So that's the biggest thing. And like, the more radio shows, the more podcasts, the more people that you get in front of and talk to, the more people will hear about you, will know who you are, will know about what you do, and that's how you market.
No, that's well said. And on that point, there's a few independent artists that are actually very talented that I've run across, and I'll give them the open door to come on my show and tell everybody who they are, and I'll play their music, and I never hear back from them, and I'm like wondering to myself, how are you going to get your name out there if you don't do shows? And it's funny because the people that are the most interested and excited to be on my show are the big celebrities, the celebrities that I have, the people that have been there, but it kind of shows you that that's where they are and that's where they've been, and they're excited to be on shows like this. So it kind of tells you something that, doing shows, no matter what kind of podcast, I mean, I might, I'm certainly not on Sirius XM or one of the big ones, but, I mean, you still have listeners out there that might not know about you. So if you market yourself through podcasts or radio shows or FaceTimes or whatever, I mean, you're only going to help yourself. You're never going to hurt yourself. I mean, that's just my opinion. What is yours?
No, I totally agree. In this business, I don't see how you can hurt yourself by putting yourself more out there. You're only getting more people to know who you are.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. All right. So the other thing is some more songs. I know that we talked about American Dream, but tell our listeners about some other music that you have out there that might be new or coming out.
Sure. So I spoke about my EP. It's going to come out. We're looking to release early next year. It's a 6-track EP. We released 3 songs already from it, which is Arouse, Hot Spell, and American Dream. You can listen to those. You can stream those from any streaming platform that you currently listen to. I'm going to be honest. One of my favorites is Hot Spell. I love Hot Spell because when I listen to it, it makes me want to dance.
Bubble Panya with the slow. Yeah, boy. Who is better, her or me? Boy, you know it's mine. Your voodoo got me feeling on your talisman. Hocus pocus, keep focus. It's my time to shine. Work me up and get me going. Look, my no hands, I know what I'm doing. I'm under your hot spell, who I'm fooling. Sweat dripping down my neck, you gotta work me out. Hey, you come work me out. SHANALEE, hands free, you work me out. You've got me feeling hot, I'm so H.O.T. I'ma spell it. Work me out. Come work me out. Come work me out. You've got me feeling hot, I'm so H.O.T. I'ma spell it. Work me out.
It also gives a little bit more of that dancehall feel background that I want to incorporate more into my music. So yeah, I want you guys to look out for the EP. I worked really hard on it, and it's a new sound, and I can't wait to hear the feedback from my fans, honestly, about what they think about it.
So how can people find you out there? What kind of social media handles do you have, and internet, websites or anything like that?
Sure. So you can stream my music, SHANALEE, on any streaming music platform that you already listen to. Also, if you are on Instagram, my Instagram name is its.SHANALEE. That's ITS, _SHANALEE. Also YouTube, it's SHANALEE, ITS, SHANALEE. You can catch all my videos on YouTube. On Instagram, you can also see some behind the scenes on my IGTV. And if you want to keep up with everything as far as like what's new, my merchandise, shows that's coming up, everything, you can go on my website, and that's shanalee.com. ITSSHANALEE.com.
Definitely, everybody need to go to your websites and all your social media, because I think, just talking to you before the show and talking to you during the show, you definitely have a big future in the music business, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And I'm already a fan, so I wish you nothing but the best in this industry, and you're always welcome on my show anytime you want to come back and push anything. We'll be happy to have you back at any time. So again, SHANALEE, thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Stage Door Show, and again, my best to you in the future.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that so much, and I look forward, and I will definitely be back. You're great. Thank you so much.
After my 9 to 5 and grinding for the dough, to my surprise, rose petals on the floor. You whisper in my ear, do I want some more? I say yes, 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 what are you waiting for? Those special things